Tonight's EastEnders shocker. 4 Walford exits after wedding chaos. Betrayal, heartbreak, and a night that changes everything. But by the end of the episode, 4 major characters had walked away from the square. But the biggest question now is, are these temporary exits or the beginning of something much bigger? Because just when fans thought Vicki Fowler and Ross Marshall were finally getting their happy ending, one explosive secret turned the entire wedding upside down. And honestly, some relationships may never recover after this. Let's get into it.
The wedding that fell apart. The episode began with the whole square gathering for what was supposed to be a happy day. Vicki and Ross looked ready to finally put all the drama behind them and start fresh together. The marquee was packed, everyone was dressed up, and for a brief moment, it actually felt like Walford might get a rare happy ending. But this is EastEnders, and peace never lasts long. As the ceremony began, Ross suddenly started putting pieces together in his head. You could see the doubt growing on his face as he realised something wasn't right. Then came the moment that completely changed everything. Ross directly asked Vicki if Zack Hudson was the man she previously slept with. And after all the lies and secrecy, Vicki admitted the truth.
The atmosphere changed instantly. Guests stood there stunned, while Sharon looked completely blindsided by the revelation. You could almost feel the tension coming through the screen. And before anyone could stop him, Ross walked straight out of the wedding. Ross attacks Zack. Outside the marquee, emotions exploded. Ross confronted Zack in an intense showdown that quickly turned physical. Furious over the betrayal, Ross punched Zack as years of anger and frustration finally boiled over. Honestly, it was one of the rawest scenes we've had in weeks. But what made it even more emotional was what Zack admitted afterwards. For the first time, Zack openly confessed that he genuinely loves Vicki. Not just as a fling, not just because of their history, but properly loves her.
The problem is, according to Zack himself, Vicki has always made one thing clear. Ross is the man she truly wants. And you could tell that hurt Zack more than the actual punch. It suddenly became obvious that this love triangle has damaged all 3 of them far more deeply than anyone realised. Sharon left shocked. Meanwhile, Sharon was left trying to process everything happening around her. You could see the disappointment written all over her face as the truth finally came out. For Sharon, this wasn't just gossip or drama. It was another reminder that secrets always destroy families in Walford eventually. And considering Sharon's own history with betrayal and heartbreak, the situation clearly hit close to home. She tried to keep things together while chaos unfolded around her.
Vicki finally realised she had to fight for him properly. She rejected Zack once and for all, before going to search for Ross around the square. Eventually, she found him alone at the allotments, trying to clear his head. And honestly, this scene might have been the emotional highlight of the entire episode. There was no shouting at first, no dramatic music, just 2 people completely broken by the situation. Ross accused Vicki of becoming like her father, bringing up years of emotional baggage and unresolved pain. But Vicki hit back too, telling Ross he was beginning to sound exactly like Joel. The conversation became brutally honest. Both of them said things they'd clearly been holding in for a long time, and for a moment it genuinely looked like their relationship was beyond saving. But then Vicki finally opened up completely. She told Ross that despite everything, despite the mistakes and secrets, he was the person she truly loved. And for the first time all day, Ross started listening. Patrick's quiet goodbye. One of the most emotional moments came from Patrick. As Ross struggled with what decision to make,
Patrick offered him some calm advice before revealing he'd be leaving Walford for a while to visit his grandchildren in Scotland. It wasn't a huge dramatic exit. There were no explosions or shocking twists. But honestly, that's exactly why the scenes worked so well. Patrick brought warmth and wisdom into an episode filled with anger and heartbreak.
Long-time viewers know how important Patrick is to the heart of EastEnders, so even a temporary goodbye carries emotional weight. And his words clearly helped Ross realise that walking away from love might become his biggest regret. The wedding resumes. Back at the marquee, things were falling apart fast. Guests were awkwardly waiting around while Vicki stood there heartbroken, convinced the wedding was finished. You could feel the embarrassment and sadness in the room. And just when it looked like Ross wasn't coming back, he returned. The atmosphere changed instantly. Music started playing, emotions flooded the room, and Vicki looked completely overwhelmed with relief. After everything that had happened, the betrayal, the fight, the public humiliation, Ross still chose her. And in a rare happy ending for Albert Square, the pair finally got married, surrounded by their friends and family. For one brief moment, it felt like love had actually won. But if EastEnders fans know anything, it's that peace in Walford never lasts forever.
Sharon leaves Walford. Not long after the wedding, another emotional moment arrived as Sharon prepared to leave the square with Albie. Ahead of an early flight back to Florida, Sharon said goodbye while speaking to Phil about her future plans. Thankfully, this doesn't appear to be a permanent exit. Sharon promised she'd return properly within a month after sorting things out overseas. Still, seeing Sharon leave Walford always feels significant because she's such an iconic part of the show's history. And with major storylines clearly building in the background, her temporary departure almost feels like the calm before another storm.
Ravi breaks Priya's heart. Elsewhere in Walford, another relationship completely fell apart. After spending the night together, Priya discovered Ravi secretly packing his bags. And honestly, this entire storyline became heartbreaking very quickly. Ravi revealed that he was leaving Walford and had already explained his decision in a letter Priya never opened. He admitted he still needed time to heal after everything he's recently been through, especially following his time in the mental health unit. But the saddest part was hearing Ravi explain that he thought Priya already understood his return was only meant to say goodbye. Priya begged him to stay. She fought for him emotionally and warned him that if he walked away now, their relationship would be over forever. But Ravi still chose to leave. And the final image of Priya standing there in tears as Ravi disappeared with his bags was genuinely devastating. It felt less like a temporary goodbye and more like the end of something important.
What happens next? What makes this episode even more interesting is how clearly it's setting up the upcoming special week of episodes. Think about everything that happened tonight. 4